Good morning, St. Francis. Good morning, people of God. It is Wednesday, the 11th day of September 2024. It is Wednesday of the 23rd week of the year, the 23rd week in Ordinary Time. Also in the United States, again, it is September the 11th, the day in which we are called to remember again the tragedies that happened in Pennsylvania and Washington, D.C., and especially in New York City. Again, those who lost their lives, those who tried to help others, and then also lost their lives. All of those basically who, because of whatever reason, thought that violence and destruction and death would be the only way to have a message heard or a idea listened to. Again, the pain and the suffering of the world continues, always. And we remember not in vain, again, those who lost their lives in the events that happened on this day, but especially now for clarity and hope, for understanding and movement away from such decisions to bring pain and destruction, to people's lives and to others' lives, because your own pain and destruction cannot be handled in some ways. And so we just remember all of that and hope that never again will such events take place, to again mar the face of the earth and to mar the lives of others. So on this Wednesday of the 23rd week of the year, we continue with Paul's letter to the Corinthians, and this passage that we hear today, again, never go to Paul for any kind of relationship advice. And that's the bottom line. Never go to Paul for any kind of relationship advice. He may have been married, but it's never really clear. If he wasn't married, there's good reason for it, because he's an awful person. He's not a good person to be in a relationship with. And whether it's his intensity or other things about him, it just wouldn't work out. And so he's giving advice left and right here about virgins and wives and husbands, and if you should have them or not have them, or everybody just live as brother and sister, or live separately from each other, or whatever it is. Again, Paul is he gets wrapped up in both an imminence of God's return and the fulfillment of God's promises, but then also of a vigiling and awaiting and anticipation down the line of this occurring. And so this passage today, for some reason, he's going off the deep end about who should be married to whom and what should be going on and how to be living. But relationship advice is not Paul's skill, and so do not go to him for it. Do not try to find it in any of his letters. Just basically look for the other things that Paul gives that aren't so bad. But relationship advice, not for Paul. Okay. So the big thing, though, is in Luke's gospel today. We have moved to the plain, like I said yesterday, the great Sermon on the Plain, which is where Luke places Jesus for this great sermon that speaks about those who are hungry and sad and burdened and sick or ill or despairing or whatever it is, will be healed. Will be given what will satisfy them. Will be given what will give them life and give them a life that is full and good and holy and just. There aren't in St. Matthew's Gospel, the Beatitudes, which take place on a mountaintop. There are 10 of them, I believe. And they're all about, again, blessed are those who mourn, blessed are those who seek justice, blessed are those, back and forth. There's only three blessings in the Sermon on the Plain. And the thing about the Sermon on the Plain, though, is that then it is followed by three woes, like those who are rich, that they will not be rich anymore. Those who have their fill will go hungry. Again, the sense in which blessings and woes are a part of this sermon for Jesus in Luke's gospel that happens on the plain. An important thing to remember in Luke's gospel, because he's addressing those non-Christians, or he's addressing those non-Jewish people who are perhaps Roman citizens or Greek citizens or whatever it is, and the lifestyle again that was led at that time was again to seek after and sometimes the pains of each other's existence, those riches and wealth and fill and whatever it is that you felt you should deserve, and to use the gods and goddesses as ways in which to secure these kinds of things for themselves. A very selfish way, of looking at the world. In the blessings that Jesus gives in the Sermon on the Plain, it isn't just to singular people. It is always given to those, as it is in Matthew's Gospel, it is always given to groups who mourn, groups who are hungry, groups who look for justice and peace. All of this is about others and the concern for others, and not just looking after one's own self. That is what causes woe. And Jesus, rightfully follows these blessings on groups with cautions violence against those who are only thinking of themselves and of their own needs. Our lives are bound to each other, always. Our lives are bound to each other because we are human beings. Our lives are bound to each other because we are creations of God. Our lives are bound to each other because without each other, we are nothing. Without each other, we cannot exist. And we are created for each other. And because of that bond, we need to look after each other and care for each other. The true meaning, again, in many ways, of both of these sermons, whether on the mountain or on the plain, again, is that God delivers, but God delivers through the actions, again, that we demonstrate and show towards one another. A blessed day, St. Francis and people of God. May the Lord give you his peace.